actually wouldn't see the high priest wearing these robes. In the Bible, in Leviticus 16, it talks about how God says that he's to wear the white robe. He actually had this white mitre or turban, and then also he'd have a white girdle or belt around his waist on the Day of Atonement. It says fine linen, and so that would all be white. And so it doesn't mention that he was wearing any of these other things on the Day of Atonement. And probably the reason for this was because the high priest was going into God's presence on the Day of Atonement. And so when he was going into God's presence, he was going to God's presence humbly. And so he was humbling himself, taking off all these other fancy things when he was going into God's presence. Okay, so we're going to take a look at what he's wearing, though, because you'd see the high priest wearing this almost every day of the year. So the first thing that God told the priest to wear was white linen breeches. And the reason God gave for them to wear this was to cover their nakedness. Because in the Bible we find that nakedness is a symbol for sin. When Adam and Eve sinned, what's the first thing they found out? They were naked, right? And so nakedness will be a symbol for sin. And clothing is actually a symbol for character. When Adam and Eve sinned, they lost God's character. And you've heard of the first station, how they tried making the fig leaves to cover themselves. Of course, that wasn't going to work. But God gave them those close to the skin from that first